positive so you can make the decision that's right for you. Let's get into it. This is the dark side of Hamilton, what nobody else tells you. Like I said, every city has secrets.
Hamilton's housing market didn't just stumble, it collapsed. Home prices have plunged 24% in a single year. Foreclosures are up over 100%, and renewal letters are destroying families overnight. Streets once packed with bidding wars are now lined with desperate for sale and bank-owned signs. At Queen's Park, the premier finally snapped, shouting at reporters as Ontario's so-called success story city turned into a cautionary tale. If Hamilton, the heart of Ontario's housing boom, can fall this hard, how long before the rest of the province follows? Hamilton's market implodes.
Not everyone's drowning. A small group of Hamilton homeowners, they're slipping out clean, selling in days, not months. Click the link below to find out how. Here's the trap most Hamilton homeowners are walking into right now.
The city that once bragged about being Ontario's next big thing is officially in free fall. Hamilton's housing market has collapsed by a staggering 24% in just 1 year, the steepest drop the city has seen in decades. What was once the pride of the province's real estate boom has become the cautionary tale everyone's whispering about. Streets that used to show off sold signs within days are now littered with "for sale" and bank-owned placards collecting dust. You can drive through entire neighborhoods where the only thing selling fast anymore is the fear. Homes that were worth over $1 million in 2021 are struggling to fetch 3/4 of that today. Some have sat on the market for months, their owners trapped, their equity bleeding away day by day. Agents who used to brag about record-breaking sales are pacing their offices, refreshing their listings, praying for calls that never come. The panic isn't quiet anymore. It's visible. Price cuts are being posted like confessions. Homeowners whisper about taking losses they once thought impossible, while others are too deep underwater to even try selling. The shock is everywhere. Renewal letters have started arriving like financial grenades, blowing holes in family budgets across the city. Those who locked into low rates during the boom are being jolted awake by new payments that have doubled overnight. One couple who bought their dream home on West Mountain just 2 years ago is now drowning. Their $2,600 monthly payment has jumped to $4,500. The husband told a local agent, "We'll wait until renewal." But waiting cost them $100,000 in lost value. That strategy turned into a slow-motion disaster. They're not alone. Thousands of homeowners across Hamilton are quietly realizing they're living in homes they can no longer afford, praying they won't be next on the bank's list. Every corner of the city feels the pressure. In neighborhoods like Stony Creek and Dundas, families are watching their neighbors' for sale signs linger for half a year. In the East End, bank sales are popping up faster than new listings. In September alone, over 200 homes were seized by lenders. That's 5 families a day losing their homes. And experts are warning it's only the beginning. The real wave, they say, will come when the bulk of renewals hit next spring. The numbers are bad, but the mood is worse. Hamilton's real estate agents are whispering words they never thought they'd say. The buyers are gone. The city that once overflowed with bidding wars, where people offered $100,000 over asking just to compete, has turned into a graveyard of stale listings and broken expectations. Investors who saw Hamilton as the next Toronto are pulling out, cutting their losses. The dream of easy profit is dead, replaced by survival mode. And that's when the meltdown reached Queen's Park. Ontario's premier, who once praised Hamilton as proof that his housing strategy was working, finally cracked. At a press conference, visibly tense and snapping at reporters, he tried to defend what couldn't be defended. "These are global issues, interest rates, inflation," he said, his voice rising. But the damage was already done. His calm facade shattered as Ontario's so-called success story city became ground zero for Canada's housing collapse. Cameras caught the flash of anger on his face, the frustration in his tone, a premier watching his political crown jewel turn to dust. The renewal bomb, that blew up Hamilton.
And you know what? The industrial sector has been the backbone of the economy here in Hamilton for many years. So, it's got its place. Next, we have the public perception and the reputation of Hamilton.
The real disaster wasn't the price crash. It was the renewal letters. They started landing quietly, one envelope at a time, but what they carried was devastating. Mortgage renewals that used to mean a simple signature had turned into financial death sentences. Homeowners opened those letters to find their monthly payments skyrocketing, $2,600 turning into $4,500 overnight, $3,000 jumping to nearly $6,000. For many Hamilton families, it was like watching their financial stability vanish in a single piece of mail. A house that once felt like security suddenly felt like a trap. People who had stretched every dollar to buy during the pandemic boom are now suffocating under debt they can't manage. Their homes are worth far less than they owe, and refinancing isn't even an option. One man in the West Mountain area tried to stay optimistic when his renewal arrived. He told his wife they'd figure it out, maybe take an extra job or cut back on spending. 2 months later, there was a bank sign on their lawn. The house didn't sell. It was seized. That's how fast things are moving in Hamilton right now.
Bought in 2021 for $1.1 million. Today it's worth $775. But that wasn't the killer. The killer was the renewal. His payment jumped from $2,600 to $4,500 overnight.
It's not just individuals feeling the pain. The entire city is caught in the same squeeze. Real estate agents who once boasted about forever appreciation are watching the market unravel faster than they can adjust. Many of them are now forced to deliver the same brutal message to clients. Your home isn't worth what you think it is. Some are breaking down with their clients during meetings. One veteran agent said, "I've never seen people cry like this over real estate before. These aren't investors flipping properties. These are families who thought they were safe, who thought they'd made the smart move." The cruel twist is that the crash isn't even over. The renewal bomb hasn't finished exploding. It's just getting started. Only a fraction of Hamilton's mortgages have renewed so far. 70% are still ticking time bombs, waiting to go off. Experts warn that when the next wave hits, the shock will spread like wildfire. Homeowners will face impossible choices: sell at a massive loss or hang on until the bank takes over. And every forced sale pushes the market even lower, dragging down neighbors who thought they were in the clear. Meanwhile, the premier is fuming behind closed doors. Advisors say he's furious that the crisis has spread from Toronto and Mississauga into Hamilton, a city he once praised as the backbone of Ontario's housing success. His team insists it's the Bank of Canada's fault, but privately, insiders say he's worried the political damage could be permanent. Every foreclosure, every headline, every viral video of another Hamilton family losing their home chips away at his credibility. What was once a point of pride has become an open wound. Hamilton has become the cautionary tale for every Ontario city that thought it couldn't happen to them. Homeowners are learning that waiting for a rebound isn't strategy. It's denial. The market isn't coming to save them, and the renewal bomb has already lit the fuse. As one local broker put it bluntly, people aren't losing their homes because they did something wrong. They're losing them because the system just reset, and they couldn't afford the new math. By the time spring comes around, Hamilton won't just be another housing market in trouble. It'll be the warning sign flashing across the province. Because if a working-class city like Hamilton, once called the heart of Ontario, can collapse this fast, what chance does anyone else have when that renewal letter lands in their mailbox? Spring turns into a slaughter.
Tens of thousands of mortgages are set to renew across the city in the next few years, and Hamilton is ground zero. Picture this: whole streets, whole neighborhoods, house after house.
For months, homeowners across Hamilton have been clinging to one last hope, that magical spring rebound everyone swore would come. Agents whispered it, sellers believed it, and the premier himself hinted that brighter days were ahead. But when the tulips finally bloomed, so did the listings, thousands of them. Every homeowner who had waited through the winter thinking they'd get a better price in spring listed at the same time. The result wasn't a rebound, it was a bloodbath. Half the buyers that once fueled Hamilton's boom are gone. Mortgage stress tests, high interest rates, and fear have wiped out the competition. That means the few remaining buyers are circling like sharks, making lowball offers and walking away if they don't get their number. One realtor described it perfectly. It's not a market, it's a feeding frenzy, but for buyers. Sellers are slashing prices daily just to stay in the game. The house that listed for $850,000 in March is struggling to sell for $720,000 by May. Every reduction hurts, and every desperate deal drags the next one down. It's cannibalism, not competition. Homeowners are cutting their own throats trying to beat each other to the bottom. You can drive down streets in Stony Creek or Ancaster and see entire blocks with matching for sale signs, each family silently praying theirs sells before the neighbors. When one house drops its price, everyone else follows, and the market sinks like quicksand. The worst part? The banks have joined the feeding frenzy. Foreclosures are being dumped onto the market for $50,000 below value, setting new lows that ripple through the city. For every bank sale, 10 regular homeowners lose equity instantly. Inside real estate offices, the tension is unbearable. Agents who've been in the business for 20 years say they've never seen a collapse like this. They're watching clients who once bragged about six-figure home equity now begging to sell before losing everything. One veteran broker said, "Spring used to be the season of hope. This year, it's the season of heartbreak." Even investors are fleeing. The once hot rental market isn't enough to offset the costs anymore. Landlords who bought multiple properties during the boom are trying to offload them, but nobody wants in. Rents are steady, but mortgage rates have eaten every ounce of profit. Some investors are underwater before they even find tenants. They're not waiting for the market to recover. They're running for the exits. And the Premier? He's out of patience. What started as frustration has turned into fury. At a tense press briefing in Hamilton, his composure snapped. He blamed the federal government, interest rates, and fear-mongering media, but the anger in his voice told a deeper story, one of panic. His staff tried to spin it as passion for homeowners, but the truth was written all over his face. The collapse had reached a point no politician could control. Spring was supposed to be the comeback. Instead, it exposed the rot. The belief that Hamilton's market was unbreakable has vanished, replaced by a cold realization. This wasn't a dip. It was a reckoning. Every street, every listing, every family waiting for that one miracle buyer is learning the same harsh truth. Spring didn't save Hamilton. It buried it. And across Ontario, everyone's starting to wonder. If the heart of the province's housing dream can fall this hard, what happens when the rest of the province follows? The Premier's breaking point.
What now? What's crazy? Now, CMHC announced just a few days ago.
It happened on a gray afternoon at Queen's Park. A press conference that was supposed to reassure Ontarians turned into a meltdown that made headlines across the country. The Premier of Ontario, known for his tough skin and no-nonsense style, finally cracked under the weight of the housing collapse. As cameras flashed and microphones crowded the podium, his frustration spilled out. Reporters pressed him on Hamilton's implosion, on families losing their homes, on why his government's housing plan had failed to stop the bleeding. He snapped. "You think I can control global interest rates?" he fired back, his voice shaking with anger. "You think I can tell the banks not to renew mortgages?" The room went silent. For months he had brushed off criticism, insisting Ontario's market was just correcting. But Hamilton's collapse was different. It wasn't a dip, it was devastation. Foreclosures climbing by triple digits, home values shredded, entire neighborhoods turned upside down. It wasn't just an economic story anymore. It was a political nightmare, and the Premier could feel it closing in. Behind the scenes, insiders said he was livid. Meetings stretched late into the night as he demanded answers. Advisors tried to calm him, pointing to national and global trends, but he wasn't having it. Hamilton was supposed to be the example, one aide quoted him saying. It was supposed to show people we had this under control. Instead, the city he once called Ontario's rising star had become a symbol of failure. Every foreclosure headline, every viral video of another family handing their keys to the bank felt like a direct hit to his reputation. The premier had built his political brand on strength, the idea that he could fix what others couldn't. But housing was different. No amount of confidence could hide the fact that thousands of Ontarians were losing their homes. Even his usual charm couldn't spin the chaos in Hamilton. People were angry, desperate, and scared. Town hall meetings turned hostile. Protesters showed up at events holding signs that read, "Promise made, promise broken." One woman in tears shouted, "You said we were safe?" The moment caught on camera and spread online within hours. The premier's temper wasn't just about politics. It was personal. His own political future rested on the promise of affordable housing, a promise that was now collapsing in real time. For the first time, he looked like a man out of control, reacting instead of leading. The anger, the shouting, the slammed podium, it was all frustration wrapped in fear. The fear that the crisis wasn't just about homes, but about trust. And trust, once lost, doesn't rebound like a housing market. Hamilton's collapse wasn't just a financial disaster. It was the crack that split open Ontario's confidence. It exposed the truth politicians tried to bury, that the province's housing boom wasn't built on strength, but on borrowed time. The premier's breakdown was the public face of that realization, the moment when denial gave way to desperation. By the end of the day, his staff rushed him out of the room as reporters shouted questions he refused to answer. The footage ran on every major network that night. The premier red-faced, pointing, shouting, losing control. Across Ontario, people watched, some with sympathy, others with anger. But everyone understood the same thing. If even he had lost it, the situation was worse than anyone thought. The ripple effect across Ontario Hamilton was just the beginning.
Millions of homes, hundreds of thousands of homes more a year. We've been hearing about it all this time. And suddenly they changed their minds. Well, if you'd have been listening to...
Once the cracks appeared there, the shockwaves spread fast through Burlington, Kitchener, London, and into the edges of the GTA. Cities that once bragged about booming property values suddenly found themselves facing the same nightmare. Prices dropping month after month, mortgage renewals hitting like grenades. Families who thought they'd escaped the chaos watched their home values fall tens of thousands of dollars almost overnight. Ontario wasn't just cooling, it was unraveling. In Kitchener, first-time homeowners who bought in 2021 are already underwater. They can't sell without losing everything, and they can't afford to stay. In Burlington, listings have doubled since last year, but buyers have vanished. One real estate agent joked darkly, "You'd have better luck selling snow in February than selling a condo right now." Even Toronto, long seen as untouchable, is showing signs of fatigue. Luxury units sit empty, pre-construction buyers are backing out, and builders are quietly halting projects that no longer make financial sense. The confidence that once powered Ontario's real estate empire is gone, replaced by fear. The economic ripples are hitting every corner of daily life. Furniture stores, contractors, and mortgage brokers, all once thriving off housing demand, are watching their businesses dry up. Local economies that relied on constant construction are slowing to a crawl. And the people who can least afford it are the ones paying the price. When the value of a home falls 30%, it doesn't just affect the owner. It affects their neighbors, their lenders, and their city's tax base. The ripple becomes a wave. The Premier's government is scrambling to respond. Emergency meetings have been called, policy ideas thrown around, tax freezes, incentives, even new programs for struggling homeowners. But none of it seems to stick. The problem isn't just financial, it's psychological. The public no longer believes in the Ontario dream. That old promise that owning a home was the surest path to security has been shattered. People don't see real estate as opportunity anymore. They see it as risk. And the political fallout is growing. Opposition leaders are calling the Premier's housing strategy a total failure. Editorials across Canada are painting him as the man who lost control of Ontario's most important asset. Even his allies are starting to distance themselves, quietly admitting that the crisis has gone beyond what any policy can fix. His own aides are warning that if the situation worsens, the damage could outlast his entire government. Meanwhile, on the streets of Hamilton, the epicenter of the collapse, the aftermath is visible everywhere. Empty homes with overgrown lawns, auction notices, taped to front doors. Developers walking away from projects mid-build. What was once called the comeback city is now being used as a warning to others. This isn't just another market correction, it's a shift in Ontario's identity. For decades, homeownership was the province's pride, the foundation of middle-class success. But the crash has stripped that away. Families who built their futures on mortgages are watching those futures vanish, one interest rate hike at a time. The ripple has become a reckoning, and it's spreading fast. The Premier's fury may have started in Hamilton, but it's his silence that's echoing across the rest of Ontario. Because deep down, everyone knows what's coming next. More renewals, more foreclosures, and more families forced to surrender the dream they worked their whole lives for. The housing collapse isn't just about real estate anymore. It's about confidence, leadership, and survival. And across the province, one question keeps coming up. If Hamilton was the warning, which Ontario city will fall next? So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.